He was a bookkeeping nightmare.
These checks are for $525. One for $250. Here's one for $152. I'm asking you if you ever fell behind.
No.
You're telling me under oath.
Under oath, and here's a breakdown of every payment.
Your Honor, I'm here to get back my money for a truck that was purchased, and I have a truck, but I have no title. It's basically a paperweight sitting in my driveway.
That's a heavy paperweight.
Plaintiff Jamarr Robinson is suing his ex-landlords for $5,000 for overpayment of rent, illegal eviction, and discrimination. Defendants, Ginger and Kenneth Grimm, claim the plaintiff constantly paid the rent late or not at all. They're countersuing for $3,153 for damages to the apartment and back rent.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. All rise. Case number 26 on the docket, Robinson versus Grimm and High.
We have the plaintiff, Mr. Robinson, and you are suing the defendants, Mr. and Mrs. Grimm, for $5,000. And there is a countersuit. You are suing the plaintiff in the amount of $3,153 for damages done to the apartment and back rent.
That's correct.
Let's start with you.
Yes, I'm suing for overpayment of rent, illegal retaliation of eviction, discrimination, out-of-pocket expenses. It's illegal in the state of Maryland for the landlords to evict in order of retaliation. I have receipts showing that there was an overpayment of rent when they were filing, taking me to court after a bad accident I had in April. After I retrieved from the accident, I showed them doctors' documentations and...
And you're saying you overpaid rent?
Yes.
Yeah, how much is your monthly rent?
$525.
What was the overpayment?
I started off paying like over $1,000 at a time. I have receipts showing the overpayments and what I was paying.
You moved into the place when?
October 2017.
Did you ever fall behind in the rent?
No, that's what the claim was about. The third time when they stated that I owed them, I gathered up all of the receipts because I was just paying them in good faith. When I gathered all of the receipts and I went to court, I showed it to the judge.
Are the receipts for rental payments?
For rental payments.
May I see them?
Yes.
There you are, Judge.
Once in a while, these checks are for $525. Here's one for $250. Here's one for $152. Here's one for $300, $100. Here's one for $60, $200. Some of the times that you were paying, you were not paying necessarily the full month rent. You would pay what turned out to be partial for that rent. Are you saying that it was for future months?
Yes.
Because I'm asking you if you ever fell behind.
No.
You're telling me under oath.
Under oath, and here's a breakdown of every payment, every transaction,
Okay.
the dates of the receipts.
I'll take it.
What do you have to say?
Well, I'll give you a little history. Jamarr actually moved into the basement apartment with a friend of his.
Yes.
He wasn't even a tenant of ours. We saw his car in the parking lot, and we asked around the building, and they said that he had moved into the basement. He was homeless, didn't have a place to live.
Yeah.
So he lived in the basement apartment for, 9 months?
Yes.
And then they decided to buy their own home. They were wonderful tenants, amazing.
Yes.
And they moved out. And so then he wanted to rent the second floor apartment. When we rented it to him, I always start off telling the tenants, because we want them to succeed. We're not in the business of terminating leases or evicting people. We want tenants that are going to pay their rent.
Sure.
And I explained to him that the only things we required of him was to pay his rent on time, on or before the first of the month, keep peace with his neighbors, and take pride in his home.
Tell me about the rent, because he's saying he never fell behind in the rent.
He did. He only actually paid it. I have a ledger here that I can show you.
Okay.
He was a bookkeeping nightmare. He said that he was going to pay rent in large sums, but he did not. He paid October's rent, which was prorated because he moved in the middle of the month.
Yes.
The second month in November, that was actually paid the end of October. And then in December, he actually paid 2 months. It was $1,150, which is $100 over. When I called Jamarr and said, you paid us an extra $100, he said, oh, well, I need that to pay my electric. Can I get it back? And so my husband and I went over to the building and we gave him that $100 back.
But it looks like every month is ultimately paid for. Sometimes it came in increments,
Right.
but really within the month, virtually every month was paid for.
That's because we took him to court. We took him to court 7 times. To
7 times you took him to court.
7 times tenant landlord court because he refused to pay his rent on time.
When you sought to have him evicted, and you did seek that, you gave him an eviction notice,
Right, well, a termination letter.
a termination letter.
He has a month-to-month lease, and that
Oh,
can
so,
be terminated.
right, that is separate from eviction.
Right.
It's month
yes.
to month. So he can
Right.
decide, I don't want to rent from this place
Right,
next month.
exactly.
And you
So
can
he-
decide, we're just not going to rent.
Exactly, it's not working for us. So then
Okay.
we decided we had had our fill of going to court every month and wasting the court's time, so we terminated the lease.
All right. So what I see now, which is not contradictory with what anyone is saying here, even though how you got there may be different, it's a month-to-month.
There's laws.
It's a
There's-
month-to-month lease, and at some point, during the course of your stay there, they were bringing you to court from time to time.
No, I have the date of the
Well,
accident.
you're saying you never were brought to a court by them.
I have all of the court documents.
Okay,
It
so you were
shows
brought to
that
court.
They filed in June after the car accident happened. I have all of my disability slips and everything. This is Maryland law. It's illegal to evict in retaliation. They gave a 30-day notice.
Okay.
After they seen the receipts showing
I got
that
it.
they
But
owed.
I got it. For every month that you live in that apartment, you must pay rent. That's the rule with everybody. So I want to know, what months were you living there, even if you were in the middle of a dispute with them, what months were you living there where the $525 rent was not paid? How many months?
None. And this is a broke down that an actual attorney did according to all the dates on the receipts.
When did you move out?
I moved out December 29th or December 30th. I have the U-Haul receipts of me packing everything up. I have all of that documentation here.
Okay.
He moved out on January 2nd. We were
Okay,
told by
3
the
days
gentleman
later. Okay.
downstairs. Right.
All right.
Well, that was the day of the eviction, when the sheriff was coming to
Okay,
set out his
so he lived
belongings.
there in December.
Right.
Did you pay rent for December?
I have the paper with the dates of all the transactions.
So that's all I'm asking now.
Yes, it was
you
all
were
paid.
there in the month of December. Were you there in the month of December? Even if
Yes.
they wanted you
Yes.
out in January?
Yes,
Even if they
and it was
sent-
paid.
Okay, and you did pay for December.
Yes, everything was
Why
paid.
are you saying he didn't pay for December?
He did not pay for November or December or January. And
Well,
it
he shouldn't
clearly-
pay for January.
Well, it clearly states in our lease several places that if they're there 1 minute of the next month, they have to pay for the full month's rent.
You handed me this,
Yes.
and this does not show that you paid November or December.
It shows that it was already paid for. If you look at the months ahead, it shows it was thousands of dollars paid. They were already paid in advance.
Well, I have where we went to court in December, and he told the judge that he did owe us the $1,127.50. This was on December the 14th.
I
And
don't
it
know what
shows
he
here-
told the judge. I'm just looking at what he already paid you. He could have told the judge something that wasn't true. The more serious issue here, which is you're claiming discrimination. I just want you to know that that is not a light claim made. I'm not one to go, oh, discrimination, here's another
No, I
complaint about
understand.
that. That is a serious issue. I don't know these people, and I'm not going to make that determination for 2 reasons. Unless you have absolute evidence that there are, for example, a whole bunch of white people that live in their properties that are further behind in rent than you were at any one time, and it doesn't look like you were behind by a lot, and they're allowed to stay, and only people of color who fall behind the rent are evicted, and you could show me that, I am saying to you, if you feel you have that complaint and you at some point have that evidence and you're going to have people willing to testify, that's a major case, doesn't belong in small claims, you have in the state of Maryland the Civil Rights Commission. There are federal laws. There are all kinds of avenues you can pursue that. So when I say I'm not going to deal with the issue of discrimination, I don't want you to think that I don't think that's an issue in life.
Understood.
I know it's an issue in life, but it's not for a small claims court, and nor do you have witnesses here or sufficient evidence to prove such a serious claim as that. So I am dismissing that part of the complaint because this court is not competent to make that decision based on what the limits of this court are. The overpayment of rent is like $100, but you gave the money back. I am going to dismiss.
There's more than $100, sir. That's what the breakdown is for.
You said-
It shows that at the time of their first filing, I was already in advance of payment, so therefore
Okay.
I should have never been paying
Up to now,
court fees and filing fees. That's what all of the added
I'm not
transactions
talking
are
about
for.
filing fees. Up to now, you have paid the appropriate amount for every month that you lived there. There is not a month that you weren't living there that you paid $525. That's all I need to know at this point.
That is not correct. He did not pay November or December's rent. That's why we had him in court. And that's why he agreed, he told the judge on December the 14th that he did not pay the rent, and it is owed to us.
Up until the beginning of November, had paid an overage of $94.48, but there were no receipts for November and December. In terms of the plaintiff's suit against the defendant, I am dismissing that. In terms of the defendant's suit against the plaintiff, the security deposit can be used to pick up whatever damages. I'm not dealing with the damages. You are entitled to the rent, just the rent, for November, December, minus the $94 overage. So therefore, I rule for the defendant's $955.52.
Plaintiff Michael Henson says he was scammed when he was sold a car without a title. Now he wants his money back. He's suing for $1,671. Defendants, Kacey and Mary Henson, are related to the plaintiff and say he knew the title was lost when he bought the car, and he needs to be patient while the DMV sorts it out.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is case number 241 on the docket, Henson versus Henson.
And welcome to all of you. My guess is you're all related, or this is a coincidence. Henson versus Henson and Henson.
Oh, he's my nephew.
Oh, your nephew. Okay. So we have here the plaintiff, Mr. Henson, and you are suing your nephew, Mr. Henson, and your wife, and your name is, I'm sorry?
Mary.
Mary, for $1,671 for a car title.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me your side of the story.
Your Honor, I'm here to get back my money for a truck that was purchased on May 7th, 2019.
Yep.
It was under false pretenses that the title was lost.
You purchased a truck that the defendant was selling to you,
Yes, sir.
your nephew.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. At the time, he told me that the title was lost and they would have to go to the DMV to apply for a new title.
You had already given him the money?
Yes, sir. I was trying to help him out because he was trying to get another truck.
Why wouldn't you have waited until they had the title? Because you can't have a sale without the title.
I tried to put my trust in the
Okay.
family.
So you were saying, here's the money, get the title, and then
Yes,
get me
sir.
the truck. Who has the truck now?
I do.
You do have the truck, but you can't drive it because you don't have a title.
I have the key and I have a truck, but I have no title. It's basically a paperweight sitting in my driveway.
That's a heavy paperweight.
That's
Why would you sell him a truck if you didn't yet have the title?
We did have the title. We've done a lot of moving. I did misplace the title because it was in a box. I didn't finish unpacking. We still haven't finished unpacking because we're moving again to another state.
Oh, is someone after you?
No,
Okay.
no. He's got a better job opportunity in another state, so we're now moving to somewhere better.
Okay.
I
But
did go.
You haven't found the title for him yet?
I did do the paperwork to get a new title. Ended up waiting 2 weeks. He ended up calling me to find out where it was. They
Now what-
ended up
excuse
sending
me.
it
I'll then give you a chance.
to my old address, and they told me it had to be sent back to Columbia to the main office and sent back to the new address. He got aggravated. We decided to meet somewhere and do a bill of sale. We did the bill of sale. He ended up taking it to the DMV. The DMV said we still had a title loan on it, but I paid it months before I sold it to
So
him.
this is like collateral?
Yes.
Your vehicle was used as collateral on the loan that you made? You're
Yes.
saying you paid back the loan already?
Yes.
So there shouldn't be a title loan
No,
on it?
sir, because I even called
Okay.
the title loan place.
But you
and
still
they
don't have the
said-
title? You purchased the truck, which they sold to you, but oops, we don't have the title, and you're saying you still don't have it.
Yes, sir.
You're saying it's not our fault, we don't have it, we're trying to get it, etc.
He's also threatened us.
Threatened
And I
you?
have the messages right here to where he's threatened us.
I threatened you with legal
He's also threatened to come to his work
to collect
to
money.
collect money.
I told him that I would come to his job and he could start paying me $300 a week to pay me back for the money.
Look, there's no question you should get your money. I got that.
Because I have a bill of sale also that she signed and filled out and also forged his name.
But look, hey, I'm telling you,
Right, right.
learn to take yes for an answer.
Yes, sir.
The only thing that I don't like about your conduct, this particular phrase, now I admit we're in a day of social media where people just put language into their statements and it looks more powerful in print than it does maybe in a casual conversation. You're saying here, I'm coming to get my money, you better have it or else. That does sound pretty threatening. Now, I understand it could be meant, or else I'm going to file suit. It's not
Exactly.
in any event, inappropriate behavior, but this whole thing can be solved. So I would say, on your behalf, he's entitled to get his money back until you get the title. Then you go with the sale. But you can't be holding his money when he can't even take the truck out of the driveway. That's not fair. Imagine if you went to a store and you wanted to buy a refrigerator and you paid the money for the refrigerator and they say, we'll get it to you in 3 days. And then they call and say, well, the manufacturer said it's going to take a little longer. And you're sitting there for a month, for 6 weeks, for 2 months, and you don't have a refrigerator. Of course you'd want your money back. So he's being reasonable, saying, without getting into family matters and making accusations, when you get the title, then you take the money from him. He's entitled to his money until you get title for the car. When you get title to the car, then if you still want the car, you give them the money and they give you the title. That is all that is before this court, and so I fine for the plaintiff in the sum of $1,671. And you will return the truck to the defendant.
Your Honor, I do believe that everything was done in a fair manner and that Judge Jerry did his job, and I'm happy with that.
It's Judge Harry's rule, so as it goes.
Thanks for watching. Now please approach the bench. The way I look at it, you have two options here. Option A, watch more Judge Jerry. Option B, watch more Jerry Springer. The choice is yours. Now get out of my courtroom. You have more clips to watch. And don't forget to subscribe.